Good morning and welcome to Shankar IAS Academy's Daily Current Affairs Analysis. Today's date is 3/12/2025. Please like, comment, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please hit the bell icon if you want to receive instant updates. Topics of discussion for the day. The first topic is the Antarctic Day and why it is celebrated on December 1st every year. The second topic is about bioremediation and why is it significant in present day context. The third is about how oral cancer is not just a gendered phenomenon. The fourth is about 2027's urban census, and the fifth is about prelims focus. On most maps you would see Antarctica at the fag end, and it's just a white mass. It's just filled with ice. But on December 1st every year, you commemorate something very important, which is called the Antarctica Day. So what is this Antarctica Day and why is it celebrated? The answer is very, very simple. You see, all countries have wars, they have military, they have something very unique to themselves. But Antarctica is one land which is devoted to science, and it is a cumulative effort of all the countries to do research there and to understand something very unique. And they have a lot of stations which are commemorated there. And today, this special commemorative postage stamp is released to mark the institution's silver jubilee. The National Center for Polar Ocean and Research has become the anchor for this. So this is one of the important aspects for oceanic exploration. Antarctica Day is celebrated every year on December 1st to mark the signing of the Antarctic Treaty. The Antarctic Treaty started in 1959. What are the signatories of this? The signatories include a lot of countries: Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, France, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, South Africa, USSR, UK and USA. The treaty entered into force in 23rd June 1961 and India became a signatory to this in 1983. And after this, India enacted something very unique, that was the Indian Antarctic Bill in 2022. There are a lot of core principles which is involved in this. The first one is peace. Antarctica must be used for peaceful purposes. It should not have any military activity and weapons testing or nuclear explosions. You can only do peaceful research there. The second is you have freedom for scientific investigation. That is, you can have a lot of research, you can do whatever you want with respect to peaceful research, but your findings must be shared with all the countries. And international cooperation. It promotes one important aspect, that is, you must have harmonious cooperation with all the countries regarding your governance, regarding the use of the continent. Antarctica, if you see, the geographical location is very cold, it is very windy, it is very dry. So it is covered by a massive ice sheet. It's almost like you have an ice sheet that you hold. And it has about 70% of the world's fresh water. And it has unique wildlife adaptations, that is the antifreeze proteins in fish. What are these antifreeze proteins? So basically the water is more colder than the fish's body temperature. Let's imagine the fish's body temperature is 20 degree and the water is below 0 degree. So there are high chances that the blood of the fish will start to freeze. So this particular antifreeze proteins, that is nototheniodate. This nototheniodate helps to not freeze the blood. That is, if there are ice crystals, these antifreeze proteins go, immediately they hold the ice crystals inside the blood and they prevent it from freezing. Henceforth, the ice crystals never get adequate water molecules for the ice crystals to grow inside the fish. It remains very tiny and it does not affect the fish's daily activity. So another important aspect is the climate and geography. Extreme environmental climate, as already mentioned, and it's a polar desert. So most areas receive less than 50 millimeter of precipitation annually. And if you see about the ice coverage, almost 98% of the continent is filled with ice. It is covered by an ice sheet which is over 1 mile thick in average. And the temperature record is that it has the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth, that is minus 39.2 degrees Celsius and minus 128.6 degree Fahrenheit. So this is basically the map of Antarctica, and you can see how it is white and it is filled with all ice racks, ice shelves, and this is basically the map. And coming to the National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, India's premier R&D institution for polar and southern ocean research. So it is basically an autonomous institute wherein research and development takes place, that is R&D, and it is under the Ministry of Earth Sciences. It is established in 1988 and its headquarters is in Goa, Vasco da Gama, Goa. So Antarctica's research stations. By India, there are two research stations. One is Bharati and one is Maitreyi. Maitreyi is an operational research station and Bharati is state-of-art modern research station. And in Arctic, we have Himadri, that is India's permanent Arctic research station. In Himalayan region, we have the Himanch, the high altitude research station for cryospheric studies. Cryosphere is basically related to anything with low temperature. So they do it in the Himalayan region. The key initiatives are Deep Ocean Mission. One is the exploration of the deep sea resources. Second is the study of hydrothermal systems. Third is the strengthening of India's global presence in polar sciences, which is very, very important. We have become a global competitor in a lot of fields. And we also support the international collaborations and treaties. So this is basically the Deep Ocean Mission. New announcements have come out, that is, as we had already seen, the NCPOR director Tamban Meloth announced one important thing, that is the Antarctic research station, a new Antarctic research station is going to come with Bharati and Maitreyi, and it's called the Maitreyi 2. The second one is India's first indigenous ice class research vessel is also going to come. These both mark major advancements in India's scientific research and strategic presence in the polar regions. And coming to the prelims question for the day, consider the following statements regarding the National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, NCPOR. It is the nodal agency for managing India's Antarctic program. It functions under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So, with respect to the first point, yes, it is a nodal agency for managing India's Antarctic program, but it functions and it does not function in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. We have already seen that it functions under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, and Government of India is also a collaborative member. So, the answer would be one only. Let's check. Yes, the answer is one only. So with this, as we have already seen, Antarctica is one place where we have a cumulative of all the countries and it's dedicated to science. So let's hope it stays the way it is. And moving on to the next topic. The second topic of the day is about bioremediation. India has mountains. I'm not talking about the mountains of rock. I'm talking about the mountains of garbage. Delhi has Ghazipur. Mumbai has Deonar. And Chennai has Kodungayur. And when we talk about all these landfills, these are landfills of crisis. And we have two choices in our hand. One, we can either burn it or we can either heal it. And today's healing process is bioremediation. So what is bioremediation? Bioremediation is basically using microorganism, degrading or detoxifying what is already toxic. And we have a lot of landfills and we have a lot of solid waste every year. So we use microorganisms like bacteria, algae or fungi to decompose it. That is, the pollutants are turned into something harmless. So for example, like water, CO2 or organic acids. What are the targets? So we would all remember the 2023 Mumbai oil spill. So bioremediation technique was used there to detoxify the oil spill there. And we can also remember a lot of heavy metals and plastics which are decomposed using fungi. So it is not bacteria. Bacteria is also there, but you also have to remember that they also use fungi to decompose in bioremediation technique. And the use of pesticides or sewage pollutants are also there. So what is the mechanism? Basically, let us imagine that how humans need food. These bacteria, fungi, algae are given food, and the food
is a pollutant that is used. It is broken down biologically. There are types of bioremediation. The first type is the in situ bioremediation. The in situ bioremediation is conducted at the contaminated site. For example, if I say it is in house A, you go inside house A and then you have the bacteria there, and then that site is cleaned. Now I say house B is contaminated, but it is so contaminated that I cannot go inside. I take the contaminated part from house B, take it outside to a lab or a specific place, and then if I clear it up using bioremediation, then that is ex situ. So if you see the in, it itself denotes that it is in the same place. Ex meaning it is taken outside and then done. So examples are oil-eating bacteria sprayed on the water in situ bioremediation and that place is cleared. In ex situ bioremediation, the polluted soil or water is removed, it is treated and then it is returned. For example, the bioreactors, the land farming or the composting. What are the modern technologies in bioremediation? So it is an integration of microbiology, biotechnology and synthetic biology. So the GM microbes are engineered to degrade plastics, pesticides or hydrocarbons. And there are biosensors. Let us imagine a sensor. So when you keep your hand, you get either a green light, a red light or a yellow light depending on whatever the sensor uses. Here in this biosensor, the microbes change their color or fluorescence when they detect toxins. So let's imagine when the toxic is very high, they turn into red color. When it's medium, they turn into blue color. So that's how these microbes sense and change when they detect toxins. And they use a lot of omics tools to identify the useful biomolecules if it is something that is useful to humanity. Why India needs bioremediation now? There are a lot of rapid industrialization, so rivers start getting polluted. We talk about Ganga, Yamuna and a lot of other rivers. We talk about agricultural soils which are getting degraded and industrial belts which are getting polluted. The issues are with relation to oil leaks, heavy metals, pesticides, residues and untreated sewage being released. What are the traditional technologies doing now? So the traditional technologies have become expensive, they've become energy intensive, they generate secondary waste. It's not completely degraded. But bioremediation is low cost, it is scalable, it is eco-friendly and minimal secondary wastage or minimal secondary pollution is there. So India has a rich microbial diversity, hence it enhances the efficiency. We see in government and research, there is clean energy program which supports bioremediation in research and development, and the CSIR NEERI is a nodal institute which is for applied bioremediation solutions, and IITs have found cotton based nanocomposite for oil spills and soil microbe identification for degrading toxic pollutants. And global practices used in some other countries is in Japan, we use plant microbial systems for urban waste. And in EU, we use cross-border microbial projects for oil spill cleanup. And in China, we use engineered bacteria, which is used for soil remediation under its soil pollution control framework. So the prelims practice question for the day regarding bioremediation is, in situ bioremediation requires removal of contaminated soil or water for treatment in controlled facilities. Genetically modified microbes can be used to degrade pollutants that natural microbes cannot efficiently process. So if we see, in first statement, in situ bioremediation does not require, as we already saw, only when it's ex situ you need to take it to another place and then do bioremediation technique there. So the first statement is wrong, but genetically modified microbes are used to degrade pollutants is right. So the answer should be 2 only. Yes, the answer is 2 only. Hence, bioremediation is the healing for all the crises that we have done in the past decades, and henceforth is very, very important to learn about the topic and what its new inventions and new research and development is. Hence, we are moving to the next topic of the day. For a long time, oral cancer has been a gendered disease. It is something that is strongly associated to man. And why is this? Because they believe that man has a certain kind of lifestyle and it is related to him. But today's studies that genetic clues on oral cancer are challenging the stereotype. It is saying it is not just a man's disease, it is equally a woman's disease. But here the catch is it's not about lifestyle. It is more about their genetic adaptations and their genes. So let's see what it is about. India has the world's highest burden of oral cancer, and there is a very high prevalence among women in southern and northeastern India. Here the reason is not genes, because here it is linked to chewing tobacco infused betel, gutka and kadipudi. Kadipudi is basically a regional tobacco lime mixture that is used by women especially in Karnataka. Oral cancer research in India has focused mostly on men, and women are overshadowed. Today, women-focused cohort has come with tobacco chewing habit like kadipudi, as we already saw. This was published in the Clinical Translational Journal of Medicine, and the aim is to identify the driver of mutation, what is causing this aggressive cancer in women. There are a few methods. The first one is whole exome sequencing. Whole exome sequencing basically means that the whole gene, that is our whole DNA, is studied and they are seeing what is the sequence, what is happening. And then here, what copy number array profiling of tumor means is that in our whole exome sequencing, if they see something that has changed, some genome or some changes in our body that has happened to cause this oral cancer, that particular thing they will take and analyze with the profiling of the tumor, and they match both the blood samples. So, how many percent of the tumor blood sample B is matched with this sample A. So, sample A is basically our whole genome sequence and sample B is the tumor sequence. They match both of it, and then they find out that okay, now this person has a potential to get oral cancer, henceforth we will treat it based on whatever. And now deep learning AI is used to digitally analyze tumor and its characteristics, and it is identified up to 10 significantly mutated genes. So AI is also helping us analyze how these genomes are changed, how its sequencing has changed. Now what are the genetic findings? So CASP8 and TP53 are the most commonly mutated genes. So this first Cas8 mutation is the driver mutation. Basically, it's the propelling mutation in women. Unlike in male dominant studies, you don't see this Cas8 that much, but in women, this is the male main driver. And if the CASPs are mutating more, so one CASP is going into second, third, and they're mutating more. And again, the TP53 is also joining with the CASPs, both of them are mutating. In that case, it is a highly aggressive, recurrent, lethal tumor phenotype. So these kind of findings require something that has a larger validation, and it also needs strong insights. So now AI is used for immunoprofiling. What is immunoprofiling? Basically, it is deep analysis and learning identified in two distinct patient groups. One, the patient group which has a strong immune response. Second is the patient group which has a weak immune response. Now this may help us to guide personal therapy. You get personalized therapy based on your gene type and your immune response. And this helps in prediction before we start the treatment, and it can help people save lives. Now significance of India is that the first female focused oral cancer genetic study in India has come in, and this supports precision medicine. As I already had mentioned, if you're going to give medicine based on your immune response and your gene type, then it is going to be precise for your region and for your gender and for your cancer pattern. So henceforth, this is tailor-made and it will help you get better results. So the highlights of this is that You use Indian women in cancer genomic research, and you strengthen screening and high risk tobacco chewing communities. So you see, we had already seen the Kadipudi of Karnataka and northeastern region and southern region. It is easier for you to find those communities and then start screening, so that you use prevention before getting anything. Now about oral cancer, it is most common, and the major risk factors are because of tobacco, areca nut, alcohol, HPV infection, and it is less common in India when compared to the West in relation to HPV infection. This is an important prelims pointer, because if they ask HPV infection is more common in India than the West, then the statement is wrong. So you can have a prelims pointer question here. And about TP53 and Cas8, TP53 is a tumor suppressor gene. So this is used as a suppressing gene. So if you have tumor, this will suppress. But in the earlier case, as we saw, if it co-mutates, then it becomes something very, very deadly. But this is a tumor suppressing gene, and Cas8 is involved in programmed cell death. It allow the cancer cells to evade death, so the cancer cells start living. It starts mutating, it starts growing rapidly, it starts functioning rapidly. So henceforth, Cas8 is significantly dangerous, but TP53 is the guardian. It's like our WBC. So prelims pointer question relating to this is: consider the following statements regarding the genetic findings on oral cancer in Indian women. The study identified Cas8 as a major driver mutation, specifically in female oral cancer patients with tobacco chewing habit. The Indian studies used whole genome sequencing to identify mutation patterns. So with respect to this question, yes, the first point, it is used Cas8 as a major driver mutation is right, but Indian study has not used whole genome sequencing for mutation patterns, but it's used for blood samples. So the second statement is wrong, the first statement is right. Let's check the answer. Yes, the first statement is right and the second statement is wrong. Now it's time for us to move to the next topic of the day. So India is changing faster than ever. It's not through mega cities, but through a lot of transitions. A rural area is changing into a city is changing into an urban corridor, and urban corridors are changing into something new, and the dynamic keeps changing. That is why it is important for us to talk about the urban census of 2027, which is going to address all these changes. What is the definition of urban? According to the census, a place is urban if it has a population more than 5,000 people or equal to 5,000 people, and the population density should be 400 per square kilometer, and about 75% of the male workers should be in non-agricultural work. That is the definition for urban. Now, what is urbanization in India doing, and how is the urbanization rate? In 2030, it is said that 40.76 of the Indians will live in urban areas, and in 2035, 5 years later, it is said that 43.2% of the Indians will live in urban areas, and in 2050, it is said that about 50% would live in urban areas. This is based on various international projections, but you see how sporadically it is increasing. Now, with the sporadic increase, we have to talk about the economic contribution of these cities. Cities occupy only 3% of India's land area, but with this, they contribute about 60% of India's GDP. It is expected to contribute 75% of GDP by 2035. So, this is also done by various global estimates. What are the problems in urban census? The first problem is that conservative definition of urban may lead to underestimation. That is, we do not have a proper definition of urban as per now, because it's been 16 years since the census has passed, and we don't know what the accurate definition of urban is. So 31% of the space was urban in 2011, versus World Bank's estimate now is about 55%. So we need to have accurate definitions on what urban is. And that is binary urban versus rural classification. That is, villages are undergoing in situ urbanization. That is, inside the villages they are urbanizing themselves, but outside it's still treated as rural. We don't know how it is going to be classified in 2027. And there is fragmented administrative boundaries. That is, if you see the true footprint of Delhi, it extends across 3 states or union territories, but it is not captured in a single framework or a single urban region. So we still do not know how these administrative boundaries are classified, and it is fragmented on high levels. And the next is no real-time data capturing. If we see the census today might be a particular number, but the next day it changes, and in 1 month the difference is huge, in 1 year the difference is huge. So when we take census in fixed periods of time, the census captures only a fixed moment, and it does not capture the pace with which it is sporadically increasing. And we also have a lack of spatial mapping, which means that you can see large grid units when you map in built up areas. It hides inequality within the cities. So you're just going to see the buildings and you think that inequality does not exist. On the contrary, you also have privacy concerns, because if you're going to map a particular area, and the particular area is dominated by a community or a group of people, you could reveal their economic patterns or their sensitive information. So it also has privacy concerns, but it also has lack of granular mapping. You see the contradiction there. And it has unrecorded informal or peri-urban growth, meaning urban expansion around rapidly growing cities remains outside official records. So we have to find a way to bring it in the official records. And the measures are, you have to keep updating the expanding boundaries from 2011, and you have to redraw India's urban map. And you have to use geospatial mapping, or you can use geospatial mapping for natural features, transport networks, your boundaries to be digitally updated for the 2027 census. And the household geotagging and geocensus show that this is the first fully digital census that is going to happen. And we are also going to use a new method to redefine urban boundaries, which is developed by Niti Aayog using economic data. So based on all this, there is a mains practice question. India is urbanizing rapidly, but its restrictive definition of urban prevents accurate understanding of this transformation. Discuss. India is urbanizing rapidly. Yes, it is urbanizing rapidly. So first we have to talk about how it is urbanizing rapidly and what are the factors that is urbanizing rapidly can be the introduction, but its restrictive definition, that is, it is vague definition of urban, prevents accurate understanding of this transformation. So based on all that, you can discuss for 150 words. This is a 10-mark question. Please do write it and send this question across to us, so that we will also be happy to provide comments for your answer. And with that, we are moving to the prelims topic of the day. So welcome to the prelims focus for the day. Prelims focus for the day is about Brahma Kumaris and its annual theme. The annual theme is meditation for world unity and trust. So what is this meditation for world unity and trust? It is a global spiritual movement which is led by women. It is focused for their own personal transformation and the world's renewal of Raja Yoga meditation. So the important thing here is Raja Yoga meditation. And why is it important for UPSC? It is because the President of India has graced the launch ceremony, and about 110 countries are participating in it, and it is spread across 110 countries as an international NGO, and it is founded in India in 1937. So Brahma Kumaris is an annual theme launch in 2025 and 2026, and it has a significance to meditation. They might ask a question saying Brahma Kumaris is a missile or something like that. So you have to remember that it is meditation for world unity and trust. The second topic for the day is Mars craters have been named with Indian names. So 7 names have been given. The first one is Krishnan Palels. It is named after the geologist Mr. Krishnan, the first one to become the director of Geological Survey in 1961. The second one is Varkala. Everyone knows that Varkala is a famous tourist destination beach in Kerala, and it is significant because it gives a lot of revenue, and it is a place of a lot of tourist destinations, and it refers to xerosite remains that offer evolutionary clues of how Mars developed in the Martian context. What I told earlier was in the Earth's context. And the next one is Vallimala. It is the home of Indian Institute of Space Technology. Tumba is ISRO's Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre's birthplace. Periyar is Kerala's longest river, about 300 kilometers, and represents a significant geographical mapping. Bekal is the mid-17th century fort. It is present in northern Kerala, and it has a historical importance and now is a tourist destination in Kerala. Gangas is a geographical feature, it's not a separate crater. So here you don't see Gangas because it's a geographical feature. Apart from that, you see Varkala, you see Bekal, you see Krishnan Palus, Tumba, Periyar, Vallis, Vallimala. You see all of this. This is basically Mars's crater. Now, the Indian Astronomical Union was founded in 1919 and its headquarters in Paris. It aims to promote and safeguard science of astronomy and in all aspects, that is in research or communication or education or development, and you have to foster international cooperation. This is basically Indian Astronomical Union's aim and objectives. Now, moving on to the prelims practice question that we have already seen about three important topics. One is about Brahma Kumaris, and the second is about Martian crater, and the third is about Indian Astronomical Union. Now, with respect to all three topics, we have chosen one, and the prelims practice question is that the Varkala crater recently seen in the news is located in which one of the following celestial bodies or planets? Option A, Europa, option B, Mars, option C, Earth, option D, Venus. And the right answer, as we already know, is Mars. Let's check the answer. It is Mars. So that's it for the prelims focus for the day. Please like, comment, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon if you want to receive instant updates. Thank you for watching.